Our guest for the third week in a row is certified residential real estate appraiser. He's with Appalachian Appraisals, Chad Hauser. Welcome, Chad.
Good morning.
Today we're looking at Clay County. Fewer sales in all three counties. I do Union, Towns, and Clay. Fewer sales this year. Let's jump down to total homes sold. We had 163 in 2023. 5 years ago, we had 221. But what startled me, it surprised me. In all three counties, you had to go back to 2014 to get fewer sales than this year.
Oh yeah,
The mountain market remains somewhat consistent in all three counties.
it does, and the volume is fairly consistent from year to year as well. Clay is typically the lowest volume.
Hey,
of-
I
of
live
all
in
the
Clay.
counties.
Watch how you word that, brother.
just-
Watch how you word that.
It's just the numbers,
It is. We had 163 sales in Clay County this year. Back in 2014, we had 156. So, have to go back almost 10 years to get fewer sales in 1 year. That's a big jump.
But that's there again. I mean, we've talked about it. It's the limited inventory right now.
Sure. And speaking of limited inventory, we started 2023 with 44 homes for sale. We ended the year with 66 homes for sale. If you go back just 5 years, in 2018, we started the year with 207 homes and ended the year with 205 homes for sale. No inventory.
No, not at all. It has come up, through the year, but you can see there where it peaked in July at 81, and then it's kind of fallen off again in the fall, which is typical for our area.
Yeah, a lot of folks they'll say, "Oh, I want to wait till spring to list," and I'm like, "So do a lot of other people. Are you wanting more competition? I mean, right now you have the least competition of the year, folks. If you're considering selling in 2024, hint: list now. We still have. In the last week, I put 2 homes over $500,000 under contract, 1 home just under 400, right around 400, and 1 vacant lot. 3 homes and a vacant lot in 1 week. We still have good buyer demand, but we have substantially less inventory. If you're considering, don't wait till spring when everyone else gets on there. Less competition.
Now, just not to
Sure.
go off on a rabbit trail here, but this came up recently with a client of mine. They've had something on the market and they're considering taking it off. And one of the reasons that they are worried is that they don't want to have it listed through that slow period and then it becomes stale. So how do you handle that?
A 3P, real estate's real simple. 3Ps, property, price, promotion. If there's no major issues with the property, it's aggressively promoted at the right price. It will sell any time of the year. I literally in the last week, I've put 3 homes and a vacant lot under contract, and I have a tract of acreage that will go under contract today. I am very close on another home, and I just got an offer on another tract. So we still have very good buyer demand. Not like July, that is true.
Right.
But we're very busy, but we have very little to sell.
Right. I've also the reason I ask is I've counterintuitively is you hear or I've heard in the past that actually the wintertime is buyers who are looking in the wintertime are you weed out some of those tire kickers.
They're real.
So the buyers that you get looking in the winter in those slow times are people who are probably actually going to pull a trigger and do something. Whereas in the summertime, we get so many people from out of town. They want to look around and they're just tire kickers and they'll waste your time.
100%. No. I was looking for a car one time. I had an afternoon to shop for my son. We went to Atlanta. It was pouring rain. I'm standing out in automobile parking lots or sale lots looking at cars. Only at one automobile dealership did someone come out, and I'm thinking, you're salesman. You see a guy in pouring rain. I didn't even bring an umbrella.
Yeah.
I was getting soaked. I'm standing there looking at cars in pouring rain, and you don't come out to me? Only at one dealership did someone put on an umbrella or get an umbrella, come out to see me. And I thought, oh, these are horrible salespeople.
And that's
Horrible.
probably where you bought too,
Yes,
wasn't it?
yes, yeah. I mean, the guy came out and he had an umbrella. He even offered to share it. Very kind.
Yeah.
And I mean, yes, this time of the year, if you have someone looking in this kind of weather, odds are very good. There's a serious buyer.
There you go.
Very good. All right, the sweet spot. The sweet spot this year, if you're considering building a spec home, you need to know what price ranges homes are selling at. And they're selling 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and 4 to 5.
Yep, there's a few over 500, but
Sure.
but for the most part, the bulk is between that 2 and 500,000.
That's the sweet spot. Now, if you go back 5 years ago, the sweet spot was under 100,000, 100 to 200, and 200 to 300,000. Wow, has things changed?
I mean, you're looking at 100%, 100% increase in just a short period of time, and we've talked about that in
Yeah.
previous shows. That the inflation has kind of caught up with us up here.
And it's holding true though in all three counties. I mean, it
Yeah.
is just
Yes,
crazy. And speaking of average home sold price, in 2023 the average home sold price was just under $444,000. 5 years ago, it was just under 246,000. So the average home sold price is up just over $198,000.
Almost double. I mean, it's crazy. I feel like I get to feel old when when I was a kid. This is only 5 years ago.
That's why I go back 5 years ago. I mean, I can't. I can remember when I moved up here in 2004 and started selling real estate. We would have. I used to tell people, look, the sweet spot is 175 to 2, and then I remember went to 2 to 225, 225 to 250, and then it just got crazy as these numbers show.
Yep. That's
And it took many years for it to go from 175 to 250 before it became crazy.
yeah. The last 5 years have just been phenomenal.
It has been in some ways. I keep running into folks debating and arguing low-income housing. How are we going to address this issue locally? And this past week I had I like going to the movers and shakers meetings on Friday. They bring in good speakers. You'll learn a lot about our community. Commissioner Bradshaw was there this week, did an awesome job recapping all areas of the county government. Cliff or Commissioner Bradshaw, just excellent, in-depth knowledge. Very, very, very well done. But one of the things that often comes up, now he didn't address this, but is low-income housing. But the problem with trying to bring low-income housing, and there are a lot of people against it, but prices, we have sellers selling homes in California, in Florida, in Atlanta, and you sell a home in California, it may have been a shack and they made 1.5, and they come here.
Oh yes, the relative prices are not even comparable.
But it's driving. We're getting so many folks. Used to it was Florida and Atlanta. Now it's Florida, Atlanta. Texas is another big state, sending us a ton of people. And California. I've sold more homes in the last year or so to folks out in California than I had the prior 17. I mean, it's just crazy.
And I've seen a lot more come from Michigan, from the Northeast. I don't know if you've seen that, but I've probably run into more people moving from Michigan in that upper Midwest area than I have, in the last 3 or 4 years than I have in the last 10, 15. It's
even at these prices, what we consider historical highs, when they come here, they look at them and go, "Oh, that's cheap."
It is. It is. I just actually talked to a guy this week who moved from California, and he had considered Fannin County. Fannin County was a little more than he wanted to spend,
Sure.
and so he ended up in western Cherokee
Now, you
County.
say Fannin County. That's North Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
You mean North Atlanta, Blue Ridge down there? That's become
That's
North
the
Atlanta.
North Buckhead now.
Oh, the North Buckhead. I like that. I'm gonna have to remember that one. That's a good one. He got wise, came a little further north to God's
Yep.
country.
Well, he started out in Oregon, went to California, and then decided that was not where he wanted to be. And his family had always vacationed here. He wanted to come, but that's exactly, he was like, the prices here were just amazing,
Sure.
amazingly cheap compared to California.
But I'm puzzled at how we're going to address, because the one fellow was like, do we increase our pay? Do we start paying people more per hour? But I don't see with all these buyers coming in from out of the area.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I don't know what the answer is to low income housing right now, given our unique. This is a very unique.
Yeah. Yep. I actually, interestingly enough, spoke with an agent yesterday out of the Asheville area. We were talking about short-term rentals
Right.
and that specific segment. And apparently, Buncombe County, I think, is
Buncombe.
Asheville. They are actually looking at doing away with short-term rentals altogether. Like, there's a lot of areas that have clamped down pretty hard, but they're talking about. And one of the reasons that he said that they're wanting to do that is because they're using the low-income argument that they think
Sure.
that the short-term rentals are pricing people out of the market. And his argument, I thought it was a good one, was he said, the people that are buying these short-term rentals they're not even in the same price range as someone who has low-income housing. So
Right.
you're not by clamping down on those short-term rentals, you're not opening up avenues for low-income housing.
Right.
So it's kind of a crazy thing. So it's like, how do you solve that? I mean, that's for our political show. How's that?
Yeah, I tend to be very pro property rights. You buy something, you ought to be able to do what you want with it.
Pretty much. I'm on the same.
When I was an attorney, I used to go before a zoning board of adjustment to fight for business owners being able to do what they wanted with what they had purchased. But the county would say no this or no that. But I just don't know how we're going to address the affordability for folks. But that said, I can remember reading an article a few years back, Palo Alto. If you were a police officer or some type of civil service job, you were living an hour and a half away, having to commute to serve that community because you definitely couldn't afford a home in that community.
Yeah. There's a
I'm
lot
not-
of areas like that.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm just saying that is somewhat of a norm in a lot of areas of our country. And it's becoming more the norm here. All right, let's jump to vacant lot sales. In 2023 in Clay County, vacant lot sales are up, and the average sold price is up. Now, the height looks like in Clay County we had 165 vacant lot sales in 2021, and we're down to 125 this year. But that's a significant amount of vacant lots.
If you look back to 2017, there were only 52 lot sales, and then 2018 was 48, and 2019 was 57, and then you see in 2020 this huge jump up to 94. 2021 is 165, 2022 is 108, and then last year was 125. So you can kind of see that COVID effect right there around 2020, where the inventory just fell off a cliff because
Sure.
everything got bought up, and so a lot of people decided, well, we'll buy a lot and we'll build something. Well, guess what? You can buy a lot, but good luck finding a builder because they all got busy too. So
And the costs
there's-
just went through. I'm building a home
yeah.
right now, and I can tell you it's not cheap. It's
Oh,
not
no,
cheap.
no,
I
no.
got a great builder, but
the building material costs have leveled out some. I wouldn't. Last I heard, they had come. Depending on
Right.
what particular thing you're looking at, concrete apparently is the
still
shortage
crazy.
right now.
Yeah, still crazy. All right, let's jump over to the big boy. Lake Chautauqua sales
The big money.
2023. Yeah, big money. 2023 Lake Chautauqua home sales. We've had homes to sell in Clay County last year. And disclaimer, I say in Clay County, on Lake Chautauqua, disclaimer, our sales are what's reported to the Northeast Georgia Board. That is the local Board of Realtors. There's always going to be some family-to-family sales, some FISBO, they sell to their neighbor or something. That's not through an agent. This is by far the lion's share of sales. So I think we capture good trends in our market, but it's not 100%.
No, it's not everything.
I had a lady call me a while back, and her neighbor had sold their home. I don't know to whom, but it was a lake home, and kind of went at me, and I'm like, well, ma'am, as you can look at the bottom of my because I put down a market analysis in 3 counties in the lake every month. It says reported sales to the Northeast Georgia Board. There's a reason I
Right,
put that.
right.
It's not perfect.
Well, and for me, I don't typically use for sale by owners because you can't verify. You don't know what the conditions were around that sale.
Wasn't an arm's
Whereas,
length, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, it may have been they gave a special deal to their friend because they loved them, or
Sure.
or you never know. So I can if I can go back and verify that kind of stuff. But
Right.
a lot of times, once people are gone, it's hard to track them down.
Oh, sure.
So.
Of those 35 homes to sell on Lake Chautauqua last year, 26 of them were on the Georgia side and only 9 of them on the North Carolina side.
Yeah, I've always found that interesting. When I go back and look, and it varies from quarter to quarter or
Right.
annually to annually. Sometimes you'll find a bulk of sales on one side of the lake, on one side of the state line, and then the next period you'll find it on the other side. It's just really weird. There doesn't ever seem to be a pattern to it.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of the luck of the draw. This year happened to be more on the Georgia side.
Yep. What's interesting is in 2022 we had 35 lake sales.
Yeah,
So we're kind of mirroring.
That, but there again, I think that's the lack of inventory, especially in the lake segment. The inventory is really thin, and the price range is really wide. I mean, you're talking anywhere from, I think there's a 4 million listing.
There is.
And
There
so
is.
last time it sold was 3 million. That kind of set the high bar for this area, but it can be anywhere from just under 1 million to over 3 million. So that's a wide range.
We had a sale at the very end of the year, 3.3 million.
Mm-hmm.
If you would have asked me in 2004 or 5 if I ever thought we'd have a $2 million sale, but a $3+ million sale, that just was mind-boggling. But
Yep.
talking about lack of inventory, we started 2023 with just 14 homes for sale on the lake, and we ended the year with 21 homes for sale.
Yeah, but it's been flat there in November and December at 21. So, this time of year will slow down. We tend to see that inventory kind of tick up at the end of the year and sales slow. I think didn't bring it with me today, but I think the last time I had brought it in preparation, you always see a drop off in contract activity, especially in the lakes right around December.
Sure.
Fourth quarter last year had, I think, 12 or 14 contracts on the lake in the fourth
Right.
quarter, but almost every one of them was in October and early November. There were only 2 in December.
Big month, October. Prices. The average sold price on the Georgia side of the lake was just a little over $1,159,000. In 2020, the average sold price was just under $649,000. On the North Carolina side of the lake in 2023, the average sold price was $1,185,956. In 2020, we're talking 3 years, the average sold price in North Carolina was $569,625.
Yeah, that's that market has especially. I mean, everything's gone up. We've hit that so many times now, but the lakes especially have really some of the stuff that, like you said, we've seen is the sale prices are stuff that I never thought we would see. And I can remember 10 years ago there just wasn't much sold anything over $1 million.
Right.
$1 million
Oh,
was kind of the high
100%.
benchmark, and then there were a couple that hit 2 million, and then now, like we said, that high water mark is $3 and $4 million.
It's just crazy. Folks, I really appreciate you tuning in the last 3 weeks. I've probably had more emails and Facebook comments regarding the last 2 weeks, and hopefully this third week doing a market recap of 2023. Chad, I really appreciate you coming on.
Well, I always enjoy it.
And hopefully we can get together maybe at the mid-year and I normally once a month try and do a market report, but maybe mid-year we can go in a little deeper. I'm a little concerned with the continued lack of inventory, but I think it will change.
I do too.
Folks, as always, sure appreciate you listening. My name's Rick Andrews. If I never help you with mountain real estate, give me a call. Thank you so much.